Live from our studios in Lagos, Nigeria, this is still Enterprise Weekend on Enterprise Television, and our main conversation for today. The House of Representatives on Thursday took a step towards the creation of a new state in the southeast geopolitical zone of the country. Lawmakers on the floor of the House during Thursday's plenary passed a bill for first reading for the creation of Orlu State. The bill, sponsored by the member of Representatives Ideaton North and Ideaton South Federal Constituency, Imo State Ikenga Ogochinyeme, and others, is now set for a second reading.
That's right. According to the drafts bill, the creation of Orlu State will alter the 1999 Constitution as amended, increasing the number of states in the Federation from 36 to 37 and bringing at par the southeastern states to 6. The new state, which will be carved out from Imo, Abia, and Anambra State, will have Orlu as its capital city, while it seeks to amend the 1999 Constitution by inserting a new paragraph, which will include 28 local government areas. Ugochinyere, a member of the People's Democratic Party, the lead sponsor of the bill, appealed to his colleagues at the National Assembly to support the bill to ensure its passage through a second reading.
Yes, and however, with the creation of Orlu State, these would lead to the emergence of Idato as a senatorial district. Our guest still in the studios is Evans Ufeli. Thank you so very much, sir, for
Thank you for staying.
And Chinwe,
how are you doing? Good morning. Good to see
today?
you. Well, I can be better.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get into the meaty part of our discussion today. The possible creation of another state, but particularly in a democratic setup like we have today. The last time two states were created in Nigeria was in 1996 by General Sani Abacha. And now we have it that it's possible if it passes through the rudiments of all that it's needed, we might possibly have Orlu State. How do you think this is feasible?
Well, it just passed first reading. And let the entire public know that what we call first reading under legislative engagement is the day the bill is introduced. That's its first reading. So this bill have not gone anywhere.
So it's just scratching the surface.
No, not gone anywhere, just in the media for us to discuss, okay? And perhaps use this opportunity to explore that state creation across the country. Okay, so first reading will mean you move a motion before the House that you have a bill to introduce to the House. You state your the local government you represent, the state you represent, and the constituency you represent in the House, and then you make that for. Then the Senate President or the Speaker of the House will make his own expression to the fact that if this is a bill for consideration, so they will take it on, and then from there, the person who is sponsoring the bill will pick it for second reading. But this is just to say, announcing a bill, whether it will die or it will survive, means first reading has been taken. That's what it means. So back to the issue of creation of states in Nigeria. No state have been created in Nigeria under democracy because it's rigorous. I mean, it goes through a lot of processes. Even after it is passed in the upper chamber or the lower chamber, you still require state House of Assembly's concurrence. Okay? It will also go through the state House of Assemblies for their concurrence before you have that. They're talking about the Southeast. It's one region that have agitated for this additional state for a long time, because when you look at the regions, there are 5 states there. That particular region, but other regions have 6 and 7. Okay, so it is a good time to push for this bill, especially also when the expression of marginalization of the Southeast is in the front burner. More so that in the Southeast we have somebody in detention who is asking for secession because of the same marginalization. I mean, the perceived marginalization. So, if the National Assembly is compassionate enough, or they can use this opportunity to stem the tide of agitation in the Southeast. Because we've seen that grown all the time. We are not part of this construction called Nigeria. We are not fully into the thing. We are not appointed. We are not made IGs. We don't have the number of states other states have. Because if they have an additional state, that will mean additional representation in the National Assembly, both in the upper house and the lower house. So it's good that we push this forth. Let's see how it goes at the second reading and how this will. If we're able to create a state through democratic engagement, an additional state, then it will be easier for other states who are also agitating. Like in Delta, we have Anioma. In the Southwest here, you have other people agitating for states. This week, if we backtrack and go into the expression of our nationalists, at some point when they were talking about, I think it was either Zeke or one of them, they muted the idea that we should create states based on linguistic affinity. That we should, as much as possible, every language, we should tear every language through a state formation. And I'm saying, how would this work? We're not asking for a Equatorial state. We're not asking for Ogoni state. In Rivers State, we're going to have like 30 states. Only in Rivers. Then in Delta, don't even go there. Because you have 317 tribes. From those tribes, some of them have 10 different languages in one tribe. So when you balkanize, you're going to get to a point where there will be no end to state creation. So that is why there's a need for tolerance. There's a need to agree on certain things. We can create more states when we look deeply into geographic compositions and streamline proper and say, okay, no, this like the Egedes in Benue State, 2 local governments in Benue, 2 in Rivers or Cross River. You understand? So when we have that kind of situation, then we can begin to see how you can have equity, okay, within the structure. That is what is required. But if we say every agitation should be shut down, we are going to have more agitation, more agitation for secession and all that. So I think we are going somewhere, but first of all, let's have a breakthrough on this Orlu. I am an advocate of state creation. If we have Orlu states, fine. What it means is that you're going to have more employment because you're going to have a civil service in Orlu. You are going to have. My only grounds is that the capital should not be Orlu.
Okay.
Take the capital elsewhere, a village, and develop that place with that capital city.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Evans. Even though we can go on and on to talk about state creation and its importance to national development, the Southeast has been in the eye of the storm for a while now, especially looking at the spate of insecurity. Of course, it's littered all over the country, but you know that of the Southeast has been really, really strong. But one would wonder, looking at the bill that has passed first reading, I like that you expatiated on what first reading actually means, so we don't start feeling like, okay, so it's a success already. Do you think this represents, you know, the interest of the larger Igbos in terms of, I mean, creating a new state? Do you think this is what, you know, the Southeast are yearning for at this time?
Well, in the interim, it should be.
Why?
They are yearning for secession. They have not gotten that.
Okay.
Much so because they are using violence to want to achieve it.
All right.
The first time they yearned for it, it was violence they used. They didn't succeed. It led to a civil war in Nigeria. You understand? Which happened, you know, from 1967 to 1970. So that I would have expected Nnamdi Kanu and the likes not to, you know, go through that route again because it's not a destination. Especially when you have the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, a law domesticated by our National Assembly, through which they can actually make an application for that secession before the African Charter and follow it up and gain, you know, followers, okay, and support. Because when you go through the legal routes, definitely you gain support, you get funding and you push your cause, no matter how long it takes. That is what I expected. So I think that in the interim, now that we have not gotten secession, in the interim, an additional state in the Nigerian structure for the Southeast is not a bad idea. Except perhaps if they are not cooperating with one another.
Right.
So, but what it is because as we speak, members are still represented in the National Assembly, and the State House of Assembly in the Nigerian structure. I mean, extractions of lawmakers from at the federal level and at the state level. So it's not like Nigeria has been exfoliated from they are not on their own yet. Okay? And they are still in the structure called Nigeria. So if we talk about an additional state for them, it should count for something. It should count for meaning. Every sane person should be able to support it. You understand? Because the senator the House of Rep member who introduced this bill is from that area. There are other lawmakers that are from Abia, the ones that are from other parts. You understand? Those ones can say, you know what, we also want one. Since we have been deprived for a long time with 5, we will need 7. But that might be a distraction. Let them have one. And then from there, you can take the discourse further. That's what I think. So it is of gain to them. For those who will say that is not what they need.
Right.
That is what is possible now under our laws. State creation is possible under our laws. What is not possible under the 1999 Constitution is secession. Secession was possible in the 1963 Constitution. There was a window. If you don't feel comfortable with the construction, through a plebiscite, you can. That's how we had the Midwestern region. The Midwestern region was not originally in the regional structure, but through agitation and through that window. But the 1979 Constitution blocked the window. When we move from the 1963 Constitution to the 1979 Constitution, when we move from parliamentary system of government to the presidential system of government, that window was blocked. So that is why if you say anything about secession, it becomes treason. And that's why Nnamdi Kanu is in detention for treason charges. Before 1963, you could mute that. What Nnamdi Kanu is doing now, anybody can do it. And you will not be breaching any law. But after that time, that window was blocked. So you can no longer make that. If you do that, it becomes treason.
All right, so let's take a look at, you did mention the gains that would come from creation of states, especially the southeast of Nigeria. We've often used this cliche, unity in diversity in Nigeria. But when Abia State was created out of Imo State, the then Imo State University was located in now Abia State, in Uturu, and it was converted to Abia State University, Uturu. And Imo State University had to be recreated in Owerri. Now, what happened at the time was every lecturer that was from Imo State were all moved out. They were retrenched. And they all went back to Owerri. Of course, no job. The Imo State University is yet to be created and all. Now, tell me, how do you think this would help create the unity and diversity that we've all have preached about?
No, it will. Some things and some persons will have to pay the price of that creation. You understand? Because you are going to carve out. You are carving out Orlu from an existing state. You understand? So there's some persons who have paid the price. But the state, when finally created, should be sensitive enough to recompense those who are affected. You understand? Because once the geographical boundary is created and the state is created and there's formation, those who will fall on the existing states, of course, there'll be continuity. Those who will fall outside it, okay, you will not have to do a restructuring. Definitely, you create a university, you will create a ministry, they will contest election, ANEC will conduct election, they have a governor, they will come up with, they have to come up with the formation of a state. Already, that Orlu had its own formation already. because now it's even a senatorial district, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's a senatorial district. It's in a local government, right? So it has a structure already. It's just that that structure will now be renamed, and the formation, it will not get the full formation of a state. Okay, when it gets the formation of a state, then you are going to have democracy entrenched there, just like you have it already in other states around it. So you now have CCs, then there will be some geographical equity. You understand? So that is required, because we may think that this agitation for secession is the only option we have for the Southeast. It may not be the only option. You may create one other state. You may have a president now who now appoints a lot of people from the Southeast into mainstream. Let me tell you, after independence, up until 1979, across this country, the Igbos were in major positions across the country. Even in the military, they had majority. You understand? Yes. That's why they could handle the coup that way. You know, they had majority. Even in civil service, in business, ministerial appointment, the
Academia. No?
Yeah, if you check our history, first Senate president, first this, a lot of firsts. Look at our currency. I mean, the lower denomination now. You will see a semblance of what I'm telling you. So if we create a Nigeria where you can have equity in appointments, appointing everyone, you have Southeasterners in as much as you have every other tribe in the center, the agitation will, go down. That agitation of marginalization will go down. You understand? So if we do that, we weaken the agitation of secession. If we give them another state, appoint people from there, let us have a sense of belonging. There will be no need for that agitation. Okay. Except we have people who are habitually addicted to that agitation. And then the powers or the support will go through that.
Okay, so but I think the IPOB might have a dissenting view from your stance, because I mean they're calling for a referendum and saying no to state creation, and they've referred to the new state creation as a flagrant disregard to their cause. Do you think this call might affect the process of the state creation?
The state creation is not a function of IPOB.
Right.
It's a function of legislative engagement.
Right.
Okay. So let them come to the public hearing to say that their input is required at public hearing stage, because when this passed through the stages, it's going to get to public hearing. Now, one thing about public hearing is this: public hearing cannot shoot down a bill. That is the truth.
Public hearing
cannot shoot down a bill.
Okay.
Can't, because at the stage of public hearing, you are already represented at the House. Public hearing is to appease the psychology of the public, to give them a sense of belonging on the discourse, that apart from your representatives that are here, we want to hear you, come around.
But what then happens to a proscribed group like IPOB?
Exactly.
No, so they are not going to go there as IPOB. They will come there as Nigerian citizens. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And they should select their leaders, send them for the public hearing. Let them come to the public hearing and state what it is the agitations are. That
you don't want a new state.
You don't want development in your region. That's what it means. Not even that you don't want a new state. You don't want development in your region. You know how many people will be employed if that happens? You know how many people will be taken out from poverty? You know how many public institutions that will be created and federal institutions that will be created? If you take it to a village, that will lift the profile of that village. It will get into the map of Nigeria. It will recognize the world over. If you agitate against state creation, it means you don't mean well for that state all along. It does not matter whether it was secession or for IPOB. Anyone who stands against state creation does not mean well for that region. That is what it is. That's why I say it's during public hearing that you can come and air your whatever. But you should bear it in mind that public hearing has never. In fact, the change of the national anthem that they did recently, there was no public hearing. How many people went to court? Even if you go to court, you know the defense will be that the Constitution of the National Assembly already is a representation. You have already donated your allegiance to the member representing you in the House. So, and that person voted for it. He voted on your behalf. So public hearing is supposed to stimulate and give you a sense of belonging, that truly democracy is about the people. That's what it means. But when the National Assembly fails to call for public hearing, it does not mean the bill is illegitimate.
You see, Echinya, during the newspaper review segment, we did talk about Barrister Vance, we did talk about the importance of good leadership in our country. And my question is, if our leaders cannot manage what they have, how are we sure that they can manage something else if it is created? Hope Uzodinma is from Orlu local government, which is now, if Orlu is created, the local government belongs there. Now, Orlu cannot be is in shambles. Is the epicenter of the struggle for IPOP, is the epicenter of banditry, is the epicenter of kidnapping. He himself cannot even go to his own village. It's as bad as that. So if the leaders that we have occupying the opposition given to them constitutionally can't even manage what they have, then how are we sure that they can manage if a subset is created from the set itself? So
this was actually my thought when our guests, emphasized the need for state creation and how it would bring about some sort of development. And then this very proverbial saying came to my mind. Someone who promised you a shoe or promises you a shoe, look at his shoes, because I mean, that's how you know what sort of shoes will be given you. So that's the way to say that, looking at the state that we already have and how we are subsisting. I mean, we are merely and barely subsisting, and you're creating more, or talking about more states. Why not look for a way to restore peace and sanity in the Southeast first? I mean, that's my argument. Really.
I don't know if you have your final thoughts on that.
Well, looking at ways to create lasting peace in the Southeast is not at abeyance. Nobody has discarded that. There are soldiers deployed there. Peace is a process. You understand? You see, you will always create state, because creation of state is forward movement. You say we are barely subsisting, but at least we are subsisting.
Are we?
Yes, this got us started. These same states that you say they are not functional, they are not, at least it got us started. Are we dead? So, you see, we're going to come to a point where democracy will have a grip. Okay. There are countries of the world that have to experiment democracy for 100, 200 years before they got it right. I am a firm believer of forward movement. I don't surrender on anything. Maybe because of my military background, but we don't surrender on anything. It's that we're moving forward or we're not doing anything whatsoever. So if we have 5 and we have enough people who believe that you should have 6 states in the Southeast. We have enough people who also believe that the Southeast should succeed for Nigeria. You understand? One at a time. Let's, first of all, even if they have to go, let them go with the history that they were 6 states before they left.
Very well said. I would love to say my big thank you to Vance Ufeli. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Part of our show.
Thank
and
you
really making sense of our discussion today. And would love to equally say thank you to you for giving us your time every other day. We deeply appreciate your sacrifice and your time also. But please do visit our website every day at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms and Enterprise TV 7. I am Henry Igwebike.
And I'm Chinyere Igweado.
On behalf of the entire team of Enterprise Television, thank you and bye-bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.